So if you do get any questions or whatever, just feel free to shout out and let me know. Right, okay, so today is all about school staff, health and wellbeing, boosting energy levels, doing more, feeling better, feeling more of you, doing more in school, out of school, at home, work life, productivity, and things like that. So I'm going to fire through some things, and it goes through a lot of stats and things like that we know help and improve situations and can help boost your energy levels, which will help in terms of just day-to-day school life and also home life and things like that. At the same time, what I'm not going to do is just say to you, like, you need to start eating clean, doing this, doing that, because again, it's all based around your work life, which is the whole point of doing this for school staff. So who are we? So JSPT Health Studio, got a place up in Mold and got a place in Connors Quay as well. And we work with ladies and men from 35 to 65 years old, help them increase their energy levels, get the results they want, and give them somewhere safe and fun to exercise. So what you can expect from this and my intentions is to give you real-time, real-life advice. Like I've already said, I don't want to start telling you to do stuff that isn't just feasible. It's not realistic to fit in with day-to-day life. So real-time, real advice. Unlock at least one area for you to start working on and start getting some success, because even if we go over 6 different topics in this and you only take one thing from it, then that's a success. It's been useful and you've got something to work on. Towards the end, they're going to ask you to pick a section to work on and focus your energy in that. So all of our energy in one area is better than it's spread minimally. Be open to the challenges that it'll bring. So this is more for you, what to expect. There'll be challenges along the way of today to think about things, also to implement over the coming weeks as well. Practical homework, not just for tonight or tomorrow night, it's for the rest of your life. So although we're talking things in school, this is all things that can help impact in a good way our lives as well. And this last bit, a little saying, data and drama. So it's all data, no drama. So anything you get from this, anything I ask you to do, just look at it as data and new information, and don't look at it like a chance to beat yourself up or things that you're not doing or things that should be doing better. It's just a case of looking at what's happening, what's not happening, and what can be happening. So don't take anything away from it like that. Use it as stats and stuff to work on. So question to ask yourself is where you're at right now, mostly in the working day, and where do you want to be? So more so energy levels and how we're getting on through each day. So where you're right now, how are you feeling, what are you doing, where would you like to be, how would you like to be feeling, how is day to day in work? And I don't want to hear stressful, because we know it's stressful and that's something we've got to work with, and we'll touch on later on. So where are you right now and where do you want to be? Or even more, where do you want to be after this? And another important question is your overall health and what does it mean to you? So changing things around, looking at little ways to increase energy, boost energy levels, improve your routines. What does this all mean to you? And what does health or being healthy mean to you? School life. So let's get real with the conversations we're going to have in this next bit. I'm going to flick through a load of slides and different topics, and these are all things to work on, improve on, and start seeing success in. Again, I've already mentioned it twice. This is things that you can do within school life. It's not something that you just give a go at in the half term, over Christmas, and the 6 weeks in the summer. We've got to be real about what we can and can't do and manage our expectations as well. So when we go into not so much goal setting, but giving you tasks at the end, make sure you're just being aware and a bit realistic of what we can and can't do. We don't want to set expectations really high going on day one on a Monday. Something goes wrong in school, and the next thing, everything's blown. No chance of getting it back until the following Monday. So let's get real about this and let's think about what we can actually do to help impact our day-to-day life in school, and also remembering that we are working and we've got certain things that are going to crop up. They're going to flare up no matter how hard we try. There's always going to be an obstacle or something that's testing us. So a big one, especially for what we do. So movement, activity. So around 50% of the UK population, adults, get their recommended dose of activity and movement over a week. So it's meant to be 150 minutes over a week. And then on top of that, an additional 2 days of strength work. Now, that doesn't technically mean that you need to go down the gym and start lifting heavy weights. It can be, a strength work can be anything through like a Pilates session, a bit of homework that you're doing. It doesn't have to be the gym, but it's something different where you're not just out walking, for example. So 150 minutes is the main one that UK adults should be trying to hit. Only 50% of us are hitting that. You've got the other benefits of exercise as well. Mental health, we all know about that. Increasing your longevity of life, your joints, how productive you are, your energy levels as a knock on to how we sleep. And going back to how this is tying in into our day-to-day work as well. So imagine how much easier a day in work would be if we were feeling good, we had unlimited energy reserves, and we didn't have any pain. But how do we manage this in day-to-day? So we've got our steps. We can do it by time spent outside. We can do it by our heart rate over a certain period of time, and also the type of activity and time spent. So again, it might not be a case of just going out and getting loads and loads of workouts done. It can be a different type of activity, but doing it for a set time. Again, a Pilates session, a little bit of yoga, some stretching, some relaxation done in a movement way can also help. So being active. If you want to set this as a target in school, then the best thing to do is to gamify it, which we'll go into later on, and create a little target stepwise for you to do. Now, this should be done. If you're not sure on where to start, then start off with a low amount and see how we get. What I don't want people to do is start setting big targets or just like the 10K number, because that's a nice round number that's all made up once and it's still sticking about. Set a realistic target for you to get done. Anything that you can get done in school where you've got to walk a little bit further to, do that. Take up the longer option, park a little bit further away from school, just start building out our movement and activity. So the thing to look at mainly from here is, are you getting this in, which is a biggie. This can even be just done and doubled up over a weekend, where you get your 2 lots in or your whole 150 minutes done of a weekend. Next after that is to start looking at the 2 days. Is that coming? Because that's the point where it's really going to help support your joints, bone health, and reduce any pain that you've got as well. Foods. So quite a list of questions there to think about when it comes to foods. So with, again, going back to real life thinking in schools, we're a bit restricted sometimes on when we can and when we can't eat. And sometimes we'll have a set hour for lunch, and then, as you know, it doesn't quite go to plan. Things happen, things crop up, which is why we've got to think about our food a little bit more, and what we're eating. Of course, we've got the standard bits of foods, the quality of it, as in what quality food have I got with me? What have I brought with me today? Am I prepared? Is it going to help me get closer to where I want to do, where I want to be? Is it going to increase my energy levels? Is it going to take away some of my energy levels? Is it going to make me feel horrible? Is it going to make me feel tired, bloated? Or does it have the opposite effect? And again, does it give me more energy? Does it make me feel better? Does it make me want to do more? So we've got the quality bit, which covers that. Next bit is quality versus time. So it doesn't always have to be a sacrifice, that if something's quick, it's not good, it's not decent food, because there's different ways around it. And the first one is prepping the night before and taking something in with you. Origin, where our foods come from. So that's a really easy one if you're not sure where to start nutrition wise. So I don't mean origin where in the world it's come from. Like, where's it actually come from? Has it been manufactured and made in a factory, or has it come out of the ground? Has it been grown? Where does my food come from? The second one, the next one we've touched on is feelings, which is a big one. We shouldn't be eating the foods that don't make us feel good. It's just a basic thing. If foods make us feel a bit rubbish, bloated, a bit horrible, then the things that we shouldn't be eating right now. We need to remove those things and start building up on the things that do make us feel good. And if you're short on time, it's even better, because we can stop messing around with the foods that don't make us feel good and add more of the ones that do, and it'll create more time with us being more productive and having more energy levels. Does this help? So does this help me? Does this get me a step closer to my results? Does it take me further away from my results? If I'm looking at having more energy in the day, is this going to take away from my energy stores and make me feel worse? Or is it going to make me feel better? And then the next question, how long will I eat this for? It's a bit of an unusual question. So how long could you keep eating that food for? So if you go in on a Monday, best intentions ever, you've got your food laid out, it's a nice green salady thing, and you know deep down that you're not going to keep this up, then don't eat it. Have something else that you know you can stick with, but answer these questions above it first and just be realistic. I'd rather the quality of the food get sacrificed and you be able to eat that for longer periods of time, because it'll still bring you more success than short term on and off. Before we move on, we all know that the staff room, people's birthdays, where treats come in. So if we're in charge and we're aware that people are looking to eat a little better, then that's on us, and we're able to make the choice then and to take something in that might be a better option, a little bit more quality in the food. Again, if it does happen where people bring in foods that aren't what you necessarily have, it's not something that happens all the time. So if you do have something or foods brought in, it's not the end of the world. If we're eating cakes and snacks and treats like that, we're all humans. It's part of life. So don't beat yourself up if that's happening once in a while. Okay, you time. So ideally, you'd have 4 hours to meditate a day. You'd swan off on holiday every other week. You'd have a little button which you can carry around, which would just let you switch off, and everything would be really cool. But again, going back to the point I put before, we live in the real world. It's a real life situation. We don't have that, and we need to find time for us, no matter what that is. And for everyone, it's different. So find something you can do, and it gets based on the days that you've got as well. So if you know you've got a long day and you're not finished until 9 o'clock tonight, for example, don't set out in the morning or yesterday to be doing an hour or so meditation, because you're probably not going to get that done. It could be a case of all you want to do is just sit, chill, and just relax and do nothing. It could be a case of picking up a book for 5 minutes. It could be a little bit of cooking. It all depends on how you're feeling and what's going to make you better. We don't always have the same thing that helps us. Depending on how we feel and our focus and our energy levels, will be dependent on what we need to fix that situation and make us feel good. So don't just think because everyone else does this bit that you need to do it. What can you get done, which is the question below. What's going to help you at that moment? If you set a target of reading a book every night and you get halfway through the week and think, it's the last thing I want to do, but I need some chill time, then 100% go for something else, do something else, but just be realistic on what you can actually get done and do that in the time that you've got. So we're going to go through some stats later on, and this is a biggie. So people don't have any U time. They have time to put U time in, but not always using it. So this is a really important one. Hydration, probably one everyone's going to roll their eyes over and think, I didn't drink enough, don't do that, I should drink more. Here's some of the reasons why you need to drink water. I don't want to spend much time on this because it's dead easy. Cups in the staff room, just take a bottle of water around with you. And the question that's probably going to pop up is the more I drink, the more I need a toilet, which is true. But the better we get at drinking water, the better we get at the amount of trips we need to take to the toilet. So your skin, the headaches, the fatigue, the energy levels, the performance in life, your immune system, how easy are you picking up colds, and working in schools, this should be a biggie where we're trying to build up our immune system so all the bacteria that gets passed around to stop us being ill and to picking up colds. So hydration plays a big part. While I'm on this, if you want a formula to work on, so it's your body weight in kilos times 0.033, which will give you the amount in litres we should be aiming towards. So if you're drinking 0 at the minute, don't type that in and come up with a couple of litres and try and aim for that. Build it up, build it up, build it up. We are going to go into caffeine in that shortly. If you have 1 or 2 cups of tea or coffee, if it's green tea, stuff like that, you can add that in, and that's part of your water intake. If you're having juice, cordial, then that's part of your water intake as well. But here's a couple of points here. If you're having any of those, and it's the first point to look at and to look into, is whether we are hydrated enough day to day. Right, where are we? Hydration, and then sleep. So quality over quantity. This is quite a good one. Really interested in people's sleep and how they view it. We've had people that come to the studio before and run off like 4 hours of sleep and are really good for a short period of time, and they need to play catch up after that. We have some people that have 8-9 hours of sleep and feel awful and are always tired and lethargic. So it's about quality over quantity. Ideally, the Super 7, we should be having 7 hours, which is recommended again as a target for UK adult population. But again, we're working in the real world. People have children that keep them up, pets that keep them up. It's not always possible. We can't control always the situation when it comes to sleep. So it is external factors as well. So quality over quantity. Not necessarily having enough hours wise of sleep, but having that good of a quality in the time that we've got is a biggie. Next one is trackers. So I'm a big advocate of fitness watches, heart rate monitors, all the techno trackers and things like that. The only thing that I don't like with them is tracking people's sleep, because people should be able to tell you yes or no whether they sleep well. It's a 2-second answer. Do you sleep well? Yes or no. We don't need a load of data to tell us whether or not sleeping well. They're really handy of when you're trying to optimize your sleep and get really in depth with it. But for the average person, we can tell whether we've had a good night of sleep or not. So if you're using a Fitbit or anything to track your sleep, what I found with a lot of people is their sleep quality and whether they've slept well or not will depend on the answer of their watch. They could feel like they've had a good night's sleep, view their watch, and then all of a sudden they don't feel like they've had a good sleep because their watch told them otherwise, or they've been awake or deep sleep or unrested or whatever the words are on it. So try and avoid using a tracker for your sleep. Use it for the rest of the day, not for your sleep time. Just judge it on how you feel. If you're not sleeping at the minute, and there's a lot of people in the stats that we gave out, I'll go back to that later, on sleep that weren't sleeping well. So we need to build a routine like we would for children when we take them upstairs, put them in bed at a set time. If they don't want to go to bed for a couple of hours, then it's tough. They go to bed at a certain time. They get put to bed, and we need to build a routine as well. We also need to build an environment, and going back to children, we build an environment that helps our children sleep. We need to do the same thing for us. So that's a dark room, that's a room temperature, there's no blue light in there, so no phone screens going off all the time, no TV playing in the background. And a lot of people say they sleep better when they fall asleep to telly, but it's not true because it's broken sleep and they'll be up throughout the night. And then there's a circadian rhythm as well, which is a chart mostly going back from Chinese medicine that just basically shows we need to be asleep at certain parts of the night to make sure we're getting a deep sleep. What's ideal? That's down to each of us, our situations. Like, I don't have any children, so I don't have the problem with kids waking up in the middle of the night. If that is a problem, then we need to just deal with our sleep and making sure we can get to sleep at a decent time, building a good environment, and the sleep that we're getting is good quality. Right, before I go into how to help, a big one here for school workers, whether it's a head teacher role, whether it's a TA, in between, whatever. If you've got something on big the next day, then you're probably going to find your sleep is altered on that night. Even so, if you know, let's say, well, it's half term coming up. When you build up to half term, you might find you sleep less. Just with the anxiety, the worry of things coming up, the deadlines you've got to get done between then. If you've got an inspection, you're worrying about that tomorrow. Is this done? Is that done? What we need to do in the routine bit here, especially when you know you've got busier days, is to take that worry away from us and do something which is called a brain dump. And it's on one of the other slides as well. And basically, it's just a bit of journaling, and you might find this like kind of hippie-ish, hipster vibes type of thing, is writing down your worries of tomorrow on a bit of paper, a little booklet, writing down the things you need to do tomorrow, and then the things you've got done today. And the idea is, and it does work, is that you dump everything from your mind that you're worrying about and leave it on the paper and let the paper deal with it. And then in the morning, we pick it up, and then it becomes twofold, because when we wake up in the morning, we pick it back up, but then we've also got a reminder of what we need to get done, how well yesterday went, and then things to get cracking on with. So that's a really good exercise. It works in any role. So whether people are worried from having massive meetings or just anxious about something that's happening tomorrow, it's really, really important. Some of the things that can help. So having a evening meal, which is rich in protein, or a little snack before bed, which is high in protein, reducing the amount of blue light, so screen time. Even if you've got a work light on a laptop, don't work late on a laptop and go to bed. Break it up, have a little bit of time before you go up to bed and chill. Making sure we're hydrated as well at night. What else helps sleep-wise? Not eating 45 minutes minimum, I'd say, before we go to bed. So if you're going to have a high protein snack and you go to bed at 10, let's be having it just before 9 o'clock at least. Again, if you get any questions or whatever, feel free to pop in and ask. So last couple of slides: stimulants, caffeine, sugars. So in this top bit, top line, your mood, your performance, heart health, and metabolism. Now this is more so for caffeine. Low level of caffeine over a week can help those four things: your metabolism, heart health, performance, mood, even your digestion as well. However, too much caffeine, headaches, fatigue, poor sleep, lower mood, dehydration, anxiety, crawling through the day, the list goes on. So this next bit, the third point here, 8 cans of pop or 2 energy drinks. That is the limit of like a caffeine level, which is acceptable for an adult in the UK population. So I put really because it's daft. You wouldn't let someone go through a day drinking 2 energy drinks and say that's like a good point to be at. So underneath is what I put as my recommendations. If you're making it yourself, where it's just coffee powder or like a little granulated stuff, 1 to 2 a day of those. If it's brewed or shot bought, then it's going to be stronger, or home brewed. So I wouldn't really have any more than 1 a day. If you are drinking loads of caffeine, you find it hard, then weaning yourself off it is going to bring headaches. So it needs to be done gradually. If you want to go full hit and just drop caffeine straight away, then you're going to know about it the next day. Stimulants, sugars, it's the same thing as well. This is a really big one. Even if you are drinking more caffeine than this and you don't want to, I can't go without my morning brew or whatever, that's fine. Don't look at reducing the amount yet. Let's look at getting this bit sorted. Nothing after 1 to 2 p.m. Reason being is stimulants, caffeine, sugars goes into our blood systems and it's stuck in our blood system going about. And everything we have throughout a day has a shelf life almost of how long it stays within us. Anything after 2 o'clock starts messing about with our sleep. So we still have some levels of caffeine in our system when we're trying to get to sleep. We're trying to shut off, relax, and go to bed, and yet this is still playing a part in our system. So, yeah, that's a biggie. If you're only to take one thing from this whole bit, is reduce caffeine intake after 2 o'clock, which would help massively. Putting down on caffeine, sugar, stimulants is obviously the diet drinks you can get, like Diet Coke and stuff like that if you want to. Stimulants is more of the energy drinks, which are high in caffeine. So what is meant to give you a sugar rush or an energy boost, if you like, actually just brings on a crash really, really quickly. So yeah, that's an important one to look at. And I know in the staff rooms as well, it's kind of like a set thing that you go in there and get a brewing up. But if you want to start changing that, then take in some fruit teas for your friends, start introducing them to different ones and just get them to try one, because you never know, that could be a big change in people in what they are drinking as their daily habits. Right, stress. So this is like a kind of worms really, and probably how you feel if you've got stress. So it affects everything, literally everything. There's not many health issues, problems that don't relate back to stress in some form. So our body and our glands, you don't necessarily need to know this, but all of our stress is produced and brought from two little tiny glands called adrenal glands. And when you'll all know about the flight or fight situation, and our glands produce cortisol. So that's what happens in the glands. That's produced and sent around our bodies. When we've got the right amount, we're good. We're on the ball. We're productive. We've got good energies. When we've got too much, and this can be caused by this, then it's the opposite. Then it's when we're going into low mood, low energy levels, finding things tough, just not having the zest to get up and about and do stuff. We've got our foods, the roles they play in your life, and they control us. We're going back to the first bit. If things aren't helping us or making us feel good, then we really shouldn't be eating them, or we should be finding out why they don't. Our foods will control us, because the more we eat of the same things that don't make us feel good, it's harder to get away from them. They control how we feel. They control our output into what we do, the amount of exercise we do, the amount of sleep we do, how friendly we are, how much we want to go out. Oh, I can't be bothered going out. I can't be bothered doing this. Work's been hard. This has been hard. A lot of time it's based around the foods we eat. The environment we're in. So work in school can be stressful. A lot of workplaces are stressful because we're in the zone, we're working hard and we're giving our all. So it's not a case of eradicating stress from it. It's how we manage it, how we look after ourselves before and after, and how we deal with situations. Our thoughts, our digestion, work and life. So these are all stress as well. So the things we eat, again, can cause stress. Our thoughts, our work and our life. So I touched on brain dumping before, and this could be a really good activity for school staff to do at the end of the day. It's just to note down what's gone really well today, the things that have happened that have been good, things that need to happen, the things that are going to happen tomorrow, things that need to get done by the end of the week. I know that isn't necessarily going to close off the day and be the end of everything, but it's a good way to leave the day on, and it's also a good way to start relaxing and trying to get a bit better at leaving things in school and separating things from work. And I'm aware that school gets busy and you've got to take things home and stuff, but getting good at that, it'll really help you with your stress levels around work, because otherwise, if we haven't got a lot of these slides in order, then we're stressed before we get to work, we're overly stressed in work, and we're stressed when we come home, and then we're stressed and don't sleep, and then it's a cycle. So have a think about this. So where's the link with everything? That's a question for you really to answer. The last slide I've just been over is a biggie. So what have we got here? We sent out a lot of forms around Flintshire schools, and we got just over 50 responses. And these are the stats from there. So we have got, I'll zoom in a bit so you can see it. Right. So the questions that we asked, and just went through, pulled out some stats from. So do people have enough time for them and to exercise? 81% said no. The next bit was, which is why we're doing this, is the stress bit, which is big. So there's a reading of 1 to 5, 91% read a 4 or 5. Over 50% of people chose 5 on that question. So overly stressed, massively stressed, couldn't go higher than a 5. Any higher, then they're going to spontaneously combust and just blow up on the spot. Energy levels, over 75% of a less than average, and 20% of people had zero energy at all. I remember some of the forms that people were saying they just try and get through the day the best they can. 35% had medical conditions, and a lot of those were tied in with what we spoke about around stress and foods as well, which is interesting. And then there's a big one, over half don't sleep well. So this isn't just about giving you things to worry about and show you how doom and gloom things are. There's loads of stuff we can start doing to work on things. We can change these around instantly. So one more question that was asked was, would you think exercise would help? In the other answers, and 98.2% of people said yes. So the time bit that I mentioned at the start, it's about being realistic, seeing what we've got, making the most of what we've got. Time's a killer, so it'll kill our progress, our energy levels. It'll help create procrastination, help create excuses for us, put up barriers in the way, stop us from doing that, make us feel like we've got to do something else. We need to not so much manage our time better, but be more aware of what we've got and what we can do. So if we've only got a 15-minute gap, then you wouldn't try and sign up for an hour workout somewhere. If you've got a half-hour workout session, you've got a half an hour time slot, then you know it's going to happen and get done. So time creates and gives all of these excuses and reasons here and builds anxiety. And the reason why I put anxiety in, if we're short on time and still trying to get everything done, it's going to make us worry that we're not going to get stuff done. If we want to achieve something and we know we haven't really got the amount of time to do it, then it's going to make us anxious on getting that result. If we're always running around and chasing our tail, then it's going to make us anxious because we don't seem like we've got time for anything else. And one of those else bits is us. So what now? Where does it go? What changes? What happens? What's the point of listening to this? Where's it going to go from here? So the really important thing is that you have a little look back, and we're going to do a little exercise, which is going to take a couple of seconds, and it's going to be to choose a section. So I'm going to go through the sections again. So we've got movement activity, exercise, foods and food quality, time for you, hydration, staying hydrated, sleep quality, a little bit more about caffeine, sugars, stimulants, energy drinks, brews, things like that. Stress. So what I'd like you to do is to have a little think and pick one of those sections. You'll be able to score it if you were to score them all on a scale of 1 to 5. So exercise, 1 being low, 5 being the highest. On, yeah, I exercise enough, I'm happy with what I'm doing, I can tick that off. 1 is the lowest, not happening. So 1 to 5. Same with foods, 1 to 5 score, 5 being top notch, really good, top of the class, teacher's pet. Time for you. Hydration, staying hydrated, drinking enough water, getting enough fluids on board, and making sure you haven't got any of the issues that are on there. Sleep, a big one, I feel. Maybe seasonal as well, with different things. Stimulants, caffeine, and sugars, and stress. So 1 to 5, once you've done that, have a look at the area that's showing up and just have a think to see whether that's actually true. So if stress has come up, just have a think, actually, am I there? The lowest one is the homework. So where does this go? We go to the one that's the lowest. What changes? We start making little changes and working towards improving that. What happens? We review it, see if it's improved. If it has, we move on to something else and we keep those habits going. And then we do something called habit stacking. And once we've got one basic little area sorted and doing better at it, we can look at something else and start stacking different habits till we're doing all of the areas better. So, like I've just said, choose a section, look into it, find out how you can do it, base it around work. And again, don't come from this and just go, right, that's it. Tomorrow, marathon's getting run. I'm going to eat 10 times a day, be de-stressed, and nothing's going to bother me. It's not going to happen. You go straight into work, first problem, and it all falls apart. Do this around what you can do. Choose a section, look into it, make a plan on it. Involve others, and I put again, gamify it and work, track results, move on to next. Don't have like a weight chart and get people paying money to come and weigh on scales. I know quite a lot of schools that we've worked with in the past have done that. Have something different and turn it into a little game. Everyone that works at school watch this and will know how to come up with a game, because you create it, you help children learn better through gamifying things and turn it into games. So think about little things. Can we have a little step challenge of what we're doing at the minute? Can we up it? Can we push someone and hold them accountable in the staff room, like this on a Monday, you're going to try and get this done by Friday, and just keep people supported. It's really, really, really low level things like this, which will help create an energy shift in your staff room, give people a reason to go and do more, people eating better, people moving more, sleeping better. Track their results, track your results, involve others, and turn it into some little game in work and have a challenge, and then move on to the next. It's ideal in schools to work through not so much quarters, is it? It's in like 6-week blocks. I know it's not always 6 weeks, but in terms, so that's an ideal situation. So, right before, well, starting in November up until Christmas, this is what we want to achieve. And it's not a case of I'm going to drop 20 pounds by Christmas. It's challenging each other. What can we do this week? And then week 2, week 3, week 4. And then when you do it, you all know what's coming up. If you've got a whole week of Christmas plays coming up, don't start challenging someone to go running laps around the field outside when it's hammering down, because it's not going to happen. So, score 1 to 5, 5 being high, work on the lowest area, just focus on that for now. What brings the biggest change as well? Think about what you can do and how long you can keep that up for, and whether it's going to bring the biggest change. If you've got something you need to do loads of to get that change, or if you know you can just do something small each day, then that's going to bring the biggest change rather than you doing loads, because you're not going to keep that going. And finally, I know we've gone over a little bit. Who found it useful so far? Just a little bit from me and us, just on specifics, putting into action. We're speaking from what we know. So our clients are busy people. We've got a lot of people that work in schools, mostly with family, meetings, work commitments, child activities, caring for parents, other people's, having pets that they've got to run around, kids that they've got to run around. So we're not the sort of place which just says, you know, forget what you're doing, you need to get this done either way. You've got to be taking into consideration things around you in your environment. So have a think about that. 10-minute focus session is all it takes. So we can jump on a call, find out where you are, where you want to be, and make the moves there that are going to get you some big changes. So if you're watching this and you need a little bit of help and support extra, not quite sure where to go or the best way to do it on one of the sections, or even if you're just unclear altogether and you feel like everything needs an overhaul, then let us know, reach out to us, and within 10 minutes, we'll have something mapped out for you to work on for the coming weeks. Hope you found that useful. Any questions you do have and you want to send over, then you can either email us and me, pop it on here, just take a note, or just drop a text. But that is us. Please, please, please take some time and just pick something out of the topics here and work on something and start increasing something. Don't add an extra stress on yourself by popping every single bit on this and saying you're going to do everything. Pick somewhere to start and start working on that. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll stop recording. Any questions, just let us know. I'll stay around for a minute.